Right, so 2019 paper one, we'll go through, provide the answer as usual, what you think is the best guess. We might see some repeat questions, we might not. Just answer what you think is the best guess, right? So number one, why do consumers have to make choices among the goods and service that they purchase? What answer you think is the best choice from these given options? Right, and whoever answer you put, again, mark it out to 60 like you usually would, right? Keep track. So you say, hey, their wants are scarce, right? No, 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 it's the opposite. The resources are insufficient. The wants are unlimited, right? So one is C, right? So this is 2009, right? So one is C. Number two, what would we best describe an economy as? So again, anyone who's just coming on, we keeping it strict to the time frame. I know you have exams tomorrow, just let's answer this out quickly. Economy is best described as what? Which answer here would you say best fits into that? Economy is best described as what? So you're saying C, the utilization of resources to produce goods and services. Yes, that is correct. So we have this table now. It says the table shows the flow of goods and services, factors of production, and money earned and spent, right? So if U refers to goods and services, so U is goods and services going from farms to household. What is S? What is S for? What is household given to farm on the same side on the circle flow of income as the flow of goods, right? So U is good. What is number three? Again, please put a letter with the answer rather than just the letter. So you're saying wages. Not quite, right? Remember, farm would not, the household, it asks what is S, right? And S is moving from household back to farm. So that wouldn't be wages. Wages would move from the farm to the household. So it had to be something like that. And remember we said U is goods and services. Households will be given money for the goods and services, which is expenditure, right? So 3 is A, right? Number 4, if V now is interest and profit, and that would include wages and so, right? V is given from the farm to household. It includes things like wages, profit, interest. What does T represent? Number 4. What does T represent? So in this case here, it will be factors of production, right? Remember, factors of production is from T, which households provide to farms, and farms will provide V, as it said, which is the profits and the factor payments, right? So we have number 5 now. Which of the following combinations give a similar measurement of the national income? They're basically asking us which are the national income methods to calculating it. So what do you say? What are the national income methods? So any answers, let me see. Put whatever you think. So again, we're doing 2009 paper 1. So you're saying D as in 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, there's no such thing as a central bank method of calculating income, right? So 5 is D. So number 6 now. An economy produces two goods, sugar and bauxite. What is the name given to the curve which shows the maximum amount of bauxite that can be produced for every given amount of sugar? What curve we use to display the amount of goods we can produce for two commodities or two items or two goods, right? Yeah, you know the thing. The production possibility curve or boundary or frontier, whatever name it is as, right? So 6C. Number 7, a student has a daily allowance of $20, right? Here's a question comes a lot. They could only choose one of these things for lunch. If they purchase chicken and chip, what is the opportunity cost? Right? What is the opportunity cost? Yeah, the bargain he gave up. So 7 is A, right? 7 is A. Number 8, at which point in the diagram are resources underemployed? At which point in the diagram are resources underemployed? So underemployed, you're saying Z, right? Yeah, that is correct. ZZ inside. It means we're not using resources as we should. Right, so Chene should just say you log on. We are doing 2009 paper 1. Originally, I planned to do, the original plan was to do a paper 2, but a few persons came on, so I decided on a paper 1 that I didn't send rather than the paper 2 that was sent earlier. But we're just going through the questions and you're still sending what you think it is and we will accumulate your marking at the end. Right, so yeah, this is Z, we at number 8, right? I'm sure you can see the screen. So number 9 now. Which of the following factors may cause an outward shift in the production possibility curve? Again, another question that comes a lot, right? Another question that comes a lot. So you're saying 9 is 9 is D. An increase in technology. Yes, this is a question comes a lot too. 9 is D, right? 9D. I'm just making a note of the answers as well. 8 was what? D as well. So number 10, we have here a demand and supply diagram, right? In this diagram, we are saying that this is before, S is before a subsidy is given. SS is after the subsidy. So as a result of granting the subsidy, what is expected? What is expected? Which one of these options reflect that of what is expected? Right? What is expected? So if you know your law of right? If you know your law of supply, your law of demand, things like this here would not be hard. What is expected is that supply would increase because this decreases the cost of production, giving producers an incentive to increase or produce more to make higher profits, right? So 11, which of the following is most likely to immediately affect the supply of labor? I record them, suppose I post some, right? And some of the answers said, but I'm currently recording this here to do the same. So 11, which is most likely to immediately affect the supply of labor? So we said 11C, improve the efficiency of workers. Improve the efficiency of workers. Any other answers? I don't agree with that answer, right? Because that answer is very similar to A, and both of them allows us to produce more. But think about it. If we improve the efficiency of existing workers, how is that increasing the supply of labor itself? How is improving my efficiency make more persons want to work or less persons want to work? I would say D, increasing the length of the work week. Because if I increase the length, a lot of people might say, here, well, I ain't able with this slave, this a lot of working, you know, they might say, no, this is a little bit of, as we call it in Guyanese, is dog work, right? So 11 is D, right? Increasing the length of the work week. Right, number 12. In a commercial bank, wages and salaries are paid to all of the following except what? Right, so tell me if you disagree with anything as we go along as usual. But yeah, wages and salaries are paid to all of the following except what? Number 12. It is paid to all of the following except what? Right, yeah, shareholders of the bank. That is absolutely correct. Number 13. In which of the following economic statement, economic system does the state own all factors of production except labor? Thirteen. A planned economy, yeah. In the planned economy, the state own everything except labor. So we are on our right track there. Number 14. Which of the following will enable Caribbean investors to have access to large capital imports? Which enable Caribbean investors to have access to large capital imports? Right, yeah, globalization. Again, that is the only thing that will allow us to buy from other markets abroad. Those, the rest of things listed there, well, two of them are financial institutions, nothing to do with that. So Sam and Jack are starting a catering business. They organize the factors of production. What are they classified as? This is one that repeats itself. Pay attention to the number 14 is one that we now see for the first time. So, you know, pay good attention. So yeah, they are entrepreneurs. 15C, entrepreneurs. Right, so again, we 2009, paper one. We're doing here. If you still was looking for it or anything, or if you just logged on. So number 16, Joe uses one plot of land and 65 seedling to do his farming. Each seedling costs $8 and he rents the land for 200. The cost of land represents his what costs? There's a question that you don't really see as often too. So you should want to know what costs are these things, right? So you're saying variable costs? Let me see other answers what you would say. Again, please, each of you send whatever answer you think it is. I clarify for you. Average cost, no. Again, it is fixed cost, right? Yeah, it's probably fixed. It is fixed. So, right, 16, fixed cost. The variable cost is the one that increases as he produce more, which is like the seedling. So if he produce more seedling, his variable cost is higher. If you produce less seedling, his variable cost is lower. Right? Hear me, if we produce, if we use. And when we combine fixed and variable, we get total, right? Average cost is total divided by quantity. So you might want to look over at your costs when you have the time. So 17, which is not an example of a factor production in a commercial bank. Didn't we just answer this question? Oh, no, sorry. But there's one that comes a lot too. So 17. So 16 is B, 17 is what? Yeah, the special saving account. 18, we have the price of 3 similar goods. Consumers buy more of goods Z because of the lower price, lower demand, makes sense. What will cause them to buy less of goods Z? Right? 18, yeah, imposition of a tax on goods Z, that would cause a big problem and people would buy less, right? So 19, which of the following is not considered a factor production in the bauxite industry? Nineteen, what we have, it is C, companies that use bauxite, correct? I see you sent it in the chat there, most of you. Yeah, the companies that use bauxite, they are not a factor production. They're a customer, not a factor production. So 20, which of the following features are characteristic of a fully planned economy now? So we can only choose 2 from this. What would you say? What would we say for number 20? There's the one that you don't often see. Maybe it's because it's an older paper. Yeah, 3 and 4, right? There are no private shareholders because there is literally no private sector in a fully planned economy, and there's no profit motive. Where's the public good? This comes a lot. I hope we don't get this wrong at all. It is zero priced, right? Public good is zero priced for this answer here. And again, remember the 2 characteristics, non-excludable, non-diminishable, right? Or non-exhaustible. 22, the type of unemployment experienced by workers in the hotel industry. What type of unemployment is that? 22, again, put the letter and the number for me. But yeah, you guys know the thing, man. It is seasonal, right? Seasonal because whenever there's tourist season, there's going to be a higher demand for the workers. And when it's not, the workers will be displaced. 23, all of the following are characteristics of perfect competition except. There's another one you see a lot, but must please pay attention to the detail wherever competition or wherever they're asking for. What we have for 23? Many buyers, one seller, right? It's many buyers and many sellers, right? 24, which is an example of a fixed capital, which is an example of fixed capital. Machinery, that is correct. Again, I know some of you may not have got to work this paper, send your best guess. And if it's wrong, what was your best guess? And I say something else, mark yourself accordingly to get a fair evaluation, right? Don't cheat for no reason. You're only fooling yourself. So 25, in which of the following situations will a normal supply curve for farm produce slope upwards from left to right? So basically, they're just asking us, where's the reason? If you know what a supply curve looks like, again, let me just remind you. These are our 2 axes. And as normal supply curve slopes regularly from left to right. So what was the reason for this say sloping? Higher prices, more they're willing to produce, right? So what option says that? D, farmers are willing to produce more as price increases, right? So 26. So 25, D as in dog, 26. According to economic theory, secondhand cigarette smoke is an example of a negative externality, right? Remember, externalities are the spillover effects and they can be positive or negative to some third party. 27, all things being equal, an increasing supply of a good will result in what? If we increase the supply of the good, what would that result in? Right? So remember, folks, in times like this here, just draw it and you'll see exactly what you want, right? So this is our price axis. This is our quantity, right? You confirm, you can see the diagram for me, right? This is supply. This is demand, right? And we say all things being equal, if we were to change, if we were to increase supply, right? Shift it to the right, supply here. What happens? This is the original price. This is the new price. The new price is lower, right? However, the quantity and the market increase. Think about it, common sense, using your common sense as well, logic. If we are on the common market, let's look at mangoes. When a fruit is in season, the supply increase. The prices get cheap, right? And the quantity traded is increased, right? So 27 is C. 28. Hope you agree with the discussion there, right? 28, which will not occur when there is market failure. Another question comes a reasonable amount. Send your answers, so let me see what you think. But yeah, it is D, an adequate amount. Remember we said when there's market failure, there's productive inefficiency, meaning we're not producing at our productive optimum, and there's allocative inefficiency. We're not producing the quantities needed as well. 29, in an attempt to increase the efficiency of staff, management assigned specific tasks. What is this an example of? Another one that comes too much. Specialization. 30, choice is the most important issue in economics because so 30, it is the most important issue because, yeah, resources are scarce relative to consumer wants, right? 31. So 30C, 31. John sells his produce at the market and saves money until he has enough to buy a tractor. What function is this? What is he able to do with his money? He's using it as a store of value. Correct, right, Brittany? I'm not getting replies from you. I hope you're noting down these answers, right? 32. Which of the following is not a financial institution? Which is not a financial institution? Yeah, the trade union is not a financial institution, right? 33. Which of the following is regarded as an invisible import on the balance of payment? Which of the following is regarded as an invisible import on the balance of payment on country X? Again, an invisible import means it is a service, right? So what is a service that we imported? What do we get for 33? Let me hear your logic. It's an import. That means money is leaving the country. B, a citizen of a foreign country receives dividend from his investment. No, that is not part. That is not invisible. There is net transfer of income, net property income. So try again. Let me see options. What do you think it is? So tourism is a service, right? Tourism is a service, and whenever a tourist come into our country and spends their money, that is an export for us. We export in our country services. However, when a citizen from our country, in this case country X, visits a foreign country and they spend money there, that is money leaving our country, which is country X, which is an import, right? Because remember, imports are money, is basically outflows of cash, right? So do you agree with the logic what I just told you? All right. 34. Country B has an increase in, this is how much? 300 million in FDI. What section of the BOP will this be recorded? What section of the BOP will this be recorded? Yeah, it is in the capital account, right? In the capital account. Right? Um, so 35. The ability to turn an asset into cash without loss or delay is known as, yeah, turning an asset into cash is liquidity, right? 36. Country A is experiencing a BOP deficit. Which of the following measures should it take to reduce the deficit in the short term? What can we take to reduce the deficit in the short term? Impose restrictions? Yes. If we want to reduce a deficit, we need to stop restrictions right away or increase export. And exports usually take longer, so the import route is the faster choice. So we have a table now. There's a question you don't see every day. So on this table, they ask us what is total fixed cost from it. So take a second, look at it. So you find that the total cost is 1,500 when we produce 0. When we produce 1, it's 17, 2, 18, 3, 19, 50. So they're asking us now, what is total fixed cost? Remember, just to remind you what I said earlier, right? What I said earlier was total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, right? Remember, variable cost is the one that increases production, fixed cost is what stay the same. Fixed cost and total fixed cost is the same thing. So they're saying us, what is the total fixed cost? The cost that doesn't change. Right? So 1500 cost, it's at 0. Yeah. Brilliant observation. So the answer is C, right? The answer is C, 37, C, 38. And they're asking us now, what is the marginal cost when we produce at 3 levels of output? So when we're producing at 3, how much did, well, in this case, remember marginal cost is in change in the total cost. So when we change from 2 to 3, how much did total cost increase by? A simple way of asking it. There's where's the marginal cost. So tell me, what do you think it is? 38. Right, you're saying B? Yeah, increased by 150. Yeah, absolutely correct. Right? So 38B, 37B as well. 39. Which of the following factors will most likely cause a fall in a country's exchange rate under a flexible regime? Right? So again, let us suppose we have the country. There's the exchange rate here. Supply, demand. What is going to cause the exchange rate to reduce? Actually, we don't even need to do all of it. It's a very simple question. Right? Yeah, increased demand for its imports, right? Because basically, goods will now, sorry, the money will be used to demand foreign goods. The supply of the local currency as a result will simultaneously decrease. And again, the demand is shifting for our local goods to our imports, right? So yeah, increased demand for imports is going to cause a fall of the exchange rate, a depreciation. So 40, another question comes a lot. Which year had the greatest real wage increase? Again, I say all the time, the real wage or any real value for the matter, a real value is one that is accounted for inflation. So real wage is accounting it for inflation, subtracting the wage increase from the rate of inflation. And which year is the greatest would be the one with the greatest difference, which is A, right? 40A. Question comes a lot. There would be 15, the rest would be 10, 5, right? So yeah, 2004, A. 41. Which of the following is most likely to reduce inflation? Again, to reduce inflation, we need to do something. If this is our aggregate diagram, this is price levels, this is GDP, right? If we want to reduce inflation, we need to do something that shifts AD inward, meaning a contractionary policy, right? We shift in AD and price levels going to fall from here to this lower one. So what causes AD to shift in? What is contractionary from this? 41. Tell me what you think is contractionary. Again, AD is made up of C, I, G, X minus M, right? And G is government expenditure. So if you reduce government expenditure, right away, income or GDP or AD is going to reduce, right? So 41 is C, right? 42 now. So some developing countries try to achieve economic growth with less government participation.